Hey guys, I'm going to teach you a simple, intuitive way of thinking about drawing folds in cloth. And one of the best demonstrations that I have shown to my students is by laying out a piece of cloth on a table. So imagine this is a piece of cloth on a table, and imagine applying pressure to it in a certain way. So let's say I put my hands on these, corners of the cloth, and I push inward. I push that way. How's it going to create tension? Well, what might happen is that as I push inward, it might start folding like that. Okay. And then what would happen, let's say, let's add some lighting to this, that there might be some shadow on this side, maybe. And if I were to do some hatching lines, maybe it might start folding like that. Um, so if I keep pushing, it really depends on how what the texture is, how heavy it is, how thick it is. If you keep scrunching it together, it could give a scrunching pattern where it kind of does this, right? And something like that. How it's starting to scrunch together. Or what could happen if I keep pushing this way on that one is it could just like stretch like that in an interesting way. I don't think it's very likely because gravity might push this down, but this is a possibility. And if I were to add some shading, it would be like that. And then, if this were to happen, you would just want to think intuitively, like naturally, what would happen if that happened to the cloth? Well, if I was pushing it this way and it got pushed up like that, well, maybe this would start falling over. So you really want to ask yourself, like, what would happen if, right? So when we're talking about like folds and clothes now, let's keep it simple. Let's keep it to a square cloth. What would happen if there was a pole here? There's a pole, and this square cloth was going to fall on top of it, right? It would just fall straight down on top of the pole. Well, it might cover the pole, and then it would hug the roundness of the pole right there, and then the four corners would drop, and then it would be longest, since this is the center, the longest lines are this way, and this line is a bit shorter. So there would be some, it would get shorter here, and then there would be some folding, and it might look something like that. I could probably do this better if I really thought about it, but I'm just giving you guys an example of what might happen. And then the folding might happen right here. And the point of tension is that this, because of gravity, the cloth is trying to fall down and the pole is like pushing up on it. So this is the point of tension right there. So everything, all these lines will kind of lead to the main point of tension, which is that ball at the top of this pole. Um, so let's think about another surface. Let's think of the corner of a box. Okay, here's a box. What would happen if I dropped the cloth on the corner of the box? This is my cloth right here. Well, let's just imagine it. Like, I haven't really done this demonstration before, but I'm going to try to intuitively guess what would happen. Well, the gravity would make the cloth hug the corner of the box. It would flatten like that. And this is the corner of the box. And then this would fold down, might fold down that way. Here's the corner of the box. Fold down that way. And there would be a point of tension right there as it folds down. And it would fold down that way. So there might be like a fold right here, I might imagine. Something like that. And depending on, if the box is slippery or if it's sticky, the cloth might stay there or it might fall down. So when we're thinking about clothes now, um, like let's go back to our past demonstration on legs. So I'm just going to draw a leg here. There's my leg. Okay, so how would a pants sort of fall around this leg? Well, we think we have to think about the cloth. So here is a pair of pants, like that. Okay, so they're usually cut pretty straight. And what would be happening is this, this flat, a pair of pants. If I were to draw from the side, if it was, flat, it would be kind of something like this. That's usually how pants are, right? When we fold them out on a bed, they're flat, somewhat flat. So what would be happening is that this would be stretched out by the cylinder of the leg. And this, since it's usually wider than the leg this way, this would be pushed in, right? So what would happen is that there would be some folding around the thin parts of the leg, and maybe some stretching around the thicker parts of the leg. It really depends on how thick the pants are. But let's draw a leg, and let's try to imagine the pants falling around them. Well, I'll do it here first. So the point of tension would be right here, the pants holding the hips. Maybe there's a belt here or something, but typically this is where the pants would be. It depends on a button or a belt, but it will usually sit right here. So it will stretch a little bit this way. Usually this part will stretch a little bit that way. So the zipper here, or button or whatever you have, and then there will be some stretching of the pants that way. The fabric is stretching as it goes around the leg. And then here, as the leg is changing shape, there's usually some kind of folding around here as it kind of takes form to the bottom of the leg. And usually if there's tension right here, if the pant is like a straight cut like this, there would be less tension because there's less surface to hold on to. Like there's more surface here, so the pants are being stretched out some more. But down here, there might be a release of tension, and this would fall straight down according to gravity. And let's say this person is wearing like a shoe, and the pant doesn't want to, let's say the pant like doesn't want to fall past the shoe, so there would be more tension over here as it folds. So you want to think about, you're just dropping a flat cloth on surfaces and you're thinking about the tension. So going back to this early demonstration, where is the tension pushing and how is the thing going to fold? You just want to really try to get intuitive with it. It really comes with experience, but once you start looking at references of people's folds clothing, you can start looking like, where's gravity? Where's the point of tension? Where's things bending? So for example, let's do an arm and a shirt on an arm this time. Let's do an arm. Let's keep it a simple arm. And it's bending right here. Okay, let's get a hand right here, like that. So if I were to draw a shirt over it, let's do it in a different color this time. Let's do blue. So a shirt right here, imagining that the side of the shirt has a seam right there and opening right there. If it's more flat like that, maybe not even, it wouldn't have that angle. It's just flat like this. There's my shirt, okay? So if I were to lay this shirt onto this arm, I know definitely there would be tension on the shoulder, okay? And depending on how thick the sleeve is, so if it was a tight sleeve, it might be like stretching around and folding around the arm like that. So there would be tension around the armpit and tension around the back part too. But let's say it's a loose sleeve. So there would be a lot of tension here at the shoulder, and then it drops down. Okay, and then there might be very similar to this where it sort of folds in one spot. I think it might do like something like that here. Again, it depends on how loose the shirt is. And then there might be a fold right there. Might even, point of tension might even be closer to that side of the arm. I'm not sure, actually. Okay, but let's say it's a long sleeve, right? So let's get rid of this. So if it was a long sleeve, it would have tension here. It would start bunching up right over here. And there's a lot of tension being pushed inward into the fold of the elbow there. So there would be a lot of folding right here, just like that piece of cloth in the very beginning, like that. And the tension would be coming from that crease. So just like with the cloth that we drew earlier, if it's a surface that's bending this way, then the cloth would be bunched up like that. There's my elbow, like that. And then the folds, like if this is our shading on the cloth on a table, our shading for the cloth on here, there would be folds in here going towards the center, the middle there, like that. Or actually, it depends. It sometimes might be like spreading out radially, like this. Yeah, because yeah, it is stretching that way. Okay. And then interestingly, like another thing we can look at is like because there's less distance on like look at the travel distance of the sleeve from here to here is longer from here to here, right? So that means this sleeve is going to reach further and this one is going to be stretched that way because this one has to travel farther. So that means there's going to be some stretching this way. Okay. So you want to think about like how is the flat shape wrapping around things? And then I can get into this later, but it really depends on the texture. Like if, let's say this is a piece of wood, let's say this is a block of wood, okay? How much pressure would it take to bend the wood? It might, bend something like this, if it's flexible wood, but, it's like going to be so tense and the pressure is going to be, tougher and tougher. And eventually it could just like explode and crack or something. So like, here's my cracking wood. And pieces shattering everywhere, like bam. Okay, so that's there's that demonstration, and it's pretty much the same thing. So if it's silk, right? Let's say it's silk. So depending on how it's being pushed inward, it might have like a whole lot of folds, and maybe they'll be dispersed around, so they'll kind of be like um, something like this, where it's creating all these soft little folds, and as it scrunches up, it's going to continue making those soft little folds. But if it was leather, then it would be something more like this, where there's a lot of the surface, the fabric is thicker, so it wouldn't be able to fold many times that way. So a leather cloth might just fold like once or twice, and it'll be actually kind of thick. Let's give it some thickness here, like that. So I think this is all the demonstration I'm going to do for now. Really think of this flat cloth and like the way it bends as you're pushing it together. And this is a good intuitive way to think about it because you just have to think about, this. You're turning a 2D cloth, folds in clothes. Clothes are usually flat. Clothes are usually things that they just wrap around 3D objects. So you want to think about texture, you want to think about hardness and weight, and you want to think about tension and gravity. And the way to make this intuitive is just think about where things are pushing, okay? So whether it's an outside force pushing on it or if it's simply gravity pulling things down, okay? So I hope, excuse me, I hope that demonstration was great for you guys. Let me know if you have any feedback in the comments, if this was helpful. And if you have any, again, suggestions for more art content. I'll talk to you guys all soon. Love you all. Peace be with you. Bye-bye.